Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sharing with Shellshock. Once again, I am your host, ShellshockPrime, and we are back with yet another Cartoon Network episode, Cartoon Network Stories Part 2, where we're going to continue off with what we were doing last time, and we got the exact same 4 guests from last time. Welcome back, everybody. Good to see you, EpicMan, KyleGaymer, Sylverstone Khandr, MoonlitMaple. Welcome back.
Hey.
Hello.
Thanks for having us back.
Yeah. It's good to have you all.
Baby.
Good to have you all back. So, unfortunately, last time I had to step away, because unfortunately, a family emergency popped up and I had to take care of it, which is why I had to end the show abruptly. But rest assured, tonight we're gonna continue right where we left off from the last time that we did this, which was about 2 weeks ago. So, first and foremost, I want to thank all 4 of you for understanding and everything. For being understanding about all this, and I'm just happy to have all you here.
Of course. Yeah, man.
Of course.
Don't have to finish the episode.
You're muted, Silver.
Yeah.
Oh, damn it.
Never mind. You're not. Sorry. It was my audio kind of being. It's my headset being a little bit funky. Sorry. It's me. Sorry.
It's been very weird already because Discord cut me off 3 times tonight for some reason.
It's just it was just my audio being funky for a moment, but I'm good.
Because I'm pretty sure I didn't hit mute beforehand, but I was like, yeah, sometime we gotta finish the episode because obviously you have to do your thing, family emergency, and we were just chilling for a bit, so it's not like we completely it was just abrupt. We were just here to kind of making the most of it.
Yeah,
exactly.
We
were still talking up a storm. It was still a fun night. We're happy to come back and just finish where we left off.
Yeah.
I'll say though, I've basically forgotten exactly that whole spiel though, so it'll be interesting to remember anything.
I'm gonna put both episodes separately up on YouTube at some point together soon. Hopefully during this week, but for now, Epic, remind everybody what type of content you do.
Alright, well, yep, this is the EpicMan speaking here. Hello everyone, welcome on in once again for this podcast. I do content-wise a variety of anything Nintendo, PlayStation, or PC, but mainly Nintendo because I'm more of a Nintendo guy than pretty much in any other of a type of gamer I am. But I do Splatoon content here and there, as I am a inkling PNG jumping around like I always do. But yeah, that's pretty much what I do. I do like anime as well. I am an anime enthusiast. I do like watching them to have fun and talk about it. So yeah, you can always watch me for all the content, and otherwise, we can always have fun and make memories.
Exactly. Kyle?
Hey everyone. Good. Happy to be back here for part 2 of the pod. Yeah, so as you all know, just a rising content creator. Don't have anything active yet, but I do have a couple of shorts on my YouTube page, along with some vlogs from different conventions I've been to. Well, one convention. Can't really say conventions since I've really been to all of them. But yeah, I'm hoping to get into Let's Plays and streaming one day.
Yep. Silver?
Yeah, you know me, Sylverstone Khandr here. I do primarily Nintendo and PC gaming content on my channel, alongside commentary streams, digital art streams, and more or less. If I find it interesting, I'll find a way to do it in any way possible. So for me, what you typically get is true variety. I do all sorts of things on the channel, so long as I can make it happen. I can make it happen. So of course, I do a lot of collaborations with most of the folks here, so most times you'll be seeing these faces on my channel in some way, shape, or form. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Yep. And Maple?
All right. Yep. Hi everybody. I am MoonlitMaple, variety streamer here on Twitch. I stream all kinds of games, mainly Nintendo, but dabbling in Xbox, PC gaming. A big thing that we do over on MySpace is every month we do a special Mario Kart team tournament over in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, where we have a different theme each month. We do cats versus dogs, cartoons versus anime, pancakes versus waffles, and last month, just this past month for May, we did Daisy versus Rosalina. It was a rematch. Rosalina won the first time and Daisy won the rematch. GG's, and looking forward to
Of
the next
course.
one,
Yep.
which I know is going to be really heated. I know it's going to be KFC versus Popeyes, and that's going to get spicy.
Sign me up for Team Popeyes.
Yeah, Team Popeyes for the win. Although I love
Popeyes.
Popeyes, and as much as I love to talk about like how
Silver's
It's
Popeyes,
just
not an
ready.
advertisement, by the way. This is no ad shit.
That's what knocked me out tonight. I had Popeye's chicken,
Yep.
and like I completely was like, I was like, I had to wake up like 10 minutes for call time. So
it'd be
yeah.
like that
Yeah, I
sometimes.
know.
But
We ain't
so if you guys
being
want to.
sponsored this
Yeah.
time.
Mhm.
So
There's
if you guys
no
want to join
sponsorship.
Friday the Card Fest, definitely check out my socials on Twitter, on Discord, and as Silver said, like we do a lot of collabs together. So you'll be seeing a lot of us like on the same streams and whatnot.
yep, the
Mhm.
same stratosphere indeed. As much as I love to talk about how Popeyes is better than KFC, this is not the topic for that. We're gonna go back to
Oh.
talking about Cartoon Network. Um, and the thing about Cartoon Network is, like, even though I said it in the first part, but long story short, Cartoon Network launched on October 1st, 1982, in the United States as the very first ever 24-hour cable channel dedicated to animation. Channel was founded by Ted Turner, who purchased an abundance of cartoon tape libraries over the years that span from Warner Brothers, MGM, and many more. Hence the fact that now, like, Warner Brothers is the company that owns Cartoon Network and all the Ted Turner networks. So, all I have to say is Cartoon Network has, for so many years, have reached a huge level of how, like, prestigious it can be, although it had its ups and downs over the years. And the ups were very high, like the highs were very high, the lows were very low, but Cartoon Network is still here, alive and kicking, alongside with the Adult Swim block, Toonami block, and a lot more. So, um, so we're gonna be jumping into the topic. We're gonna start things off with, um, our top 3 favorite Cartoon Network shows of all time, up to 3 per person. Epic, we're gonna start with you.
Okay, well, I know my number one pick is going to be, and I will just say that in just a bit, because I'm going to start from the number 3. And I honestly need to really think about this because, honestly, for throughout all the years of Cartoon Network, I grew up with so many of them, even the lesser ones that not many people are fond of. But I mean, what would I say would be my third favorite? It is really hard for me to think about because there's just so many of them that I honestly enjoyed when I was a kid, and I probably would still enjoy them even now as an adult. But I probably would need to rewatch them to have a second opinion. But nonetheless, man, I probably would have to go with number 3 for being one of my favorites for just its crude humor and just its wackiness of all things. And that would be The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. That
Good choice.
show was just so weird. It was so wacky because you're dealing with a Grim Reaper who has to babysit these 2 kids, one idiot, one named Billy, and one smart but yet sadistic Mandy.
Yep.
Both kids are always on an adventure with these supernatural beings where Grimm is always around, and they just go throughout their normal lives where having these natural super beings hanging out with them like it's just normal. And it is pretty much just fun as hell as throughout the shows. And even for being one of my um funniest things to show off with, like the movie where they did with the boogeyman when they went on when they were doing like a pirate theme kind of thing. I forgot what it was, but it was like one of my favorite TV specials on Cartoon Network that they did was that the Boogeyman Adventure or something. I forgot the name. It's been a while since I pretty much need to rewatch these episodes because it's been a while. But yeah, third one would be Billy and Mandy, and second would um be something I would pretty much say is also a good wacky adventure too, which is Courage the Cowardly Dog. Yeah, Courage the Cowardly Dog is being my second favorite because the thing about with Courage is that he is a scaredy dog, being an ironic to have a name like Courage, but yet it's still it still fits for him because he can do pretty much anything because anything he does is just to protect his family, his owners, Muriel and Eustace. Even though Eustace is always the one scaring him and making his life miserable, but even then, it is always a nice time to hear and see the Courage going through everything, even throughout the worst of times with monsters and supernatural beings. It's just being crazy, and I love this so much.
Mm-hmm.
So it is amazing. So, and now for my number one, my number one pick, and this one was always going to be my number one no matter what because this show just makes me laugh throughout the entirety of Cartoon Network no matter what, and it was going on and on and on for new episodes and new shtick, new schemes, new anything with these kids, and that is Ed, Edd n Eddy. Oh boy, that show just wow! It makes me laugh throughout the entire time seeing these guys making up trouble for the kids in the cul-de-sac, going through schemes to making it the scam of the century as Eddie wants to make it because he wants those quarters, those moolah. He wants it for his ever desire of just having so much money and the jawbreakers because jawbreakers are pretty much the biggest thing these kids want is just to nom on these big ass jawbreakers that would pretty much pass the limit of their mouths. So I just can't believe that for this show to be made only because it was only on a dare that Danny Antonucci had to make because he would never want to make something like this in the first place, but yet he was dared, and thus he went on to do it. So I cannot believe he went on doing it and make it a successful Cartoon Network show.
Yep.
And I loved it so many times, and I just loved it so much that the ending of the show, where it was a movie that was going to premiere earlier, but then they had to delay it for some reason, and so pretty much went on to becoming really one of the best shows out there in Cartoon Network with a really satisfying ending for the Eds actually get the respect they deserve because they always get punched and smacked and it makes you want to feel bad for them even though you shouldn't because these guys are jerks. Well, mostly Eddie is always the jerk character, but yet you feel for him because of his relationship with his brother, how he always idolizes him all the time, but yet he always feels the one behind the shadows and he wants to be as the cool guy like his brother, but yet he always gets smacked behind the head from him.
Mm-hmm.
But now seeing him happy because the kids see him now beating up his brother like that at the end, it's so freaking amazing to see how everything went well at the end for these guys and just makes me smile all the way to see they actually got the respect they pretty much deserve, even though after everything they've done, they needed this one because they've been through a lot. So I say this is pretty much my top 3 Cartoon Network shows.
Very good choices that you have.
Thank you.
Yep.
Kyle, your turn. Up to 3 of your favorite Cartoon Network shows of all time.
All right, so it's not like in any particular order, but the original Powerpuff Girls was like that was like one show I always enjoyed watching. Like I even like had like DVD sets of like some of like random episodes. And it's like just cool, like just seeing like these little girls like just kicking ass, like saving the world, and I just like love that, like just seeing like these girls just like saving Townsville every day, and just how much like they just really like had like the history and such, like the one episode like where they tell like that female villain like about who Susan B. Anthony was, and it was just really cool, like just like
that was great.
Yeah, about like how much like equality like they like Miss Keen and Miss Bell was like teaching them, and they just went to town on her about who Susan B. Anthony was, and like that was just like you would not see that in cartoons these days.
No.
Yeah, like Craig, like he knew what he was writing, and it proved.
He knew, yes.
Yeah, he did. Another show like I do enjoy was Hi Hi Puffy Amiyumi. Like it introduced me like to a brand new artist and a brand new genre of J-pop, and it was just like really like fun to like watch and like just see like these like characters based off of artists like just get into these like wacky adventures while being famous and just like performing all over the world. And they actually like have like the actual Ami and Yumi like in the show like for like different segments and such. Just like that was like really like fun, like just seeing them like doing like different things. And so it's like teaching us about Japan and such. Like I even like have like 2 of their CDs, and like and starting this podcast, like I've been like re-listening to them like on repeat a lot. It just made me just feel nostalgic for their music.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like another favorite of mine is like regular show. Like I was like that one person that like preferred that over Adventure Time. Just see like Mordecai and Rigby just get into these like crazy adventures. Like it starts out simple and then like boom, like they get into some wacky adventure.
Yeah.
I feel
Oh
like
yeah, indeed.
yeah, and then, like that episode like where they're just like just in space and Pops
Yep.
his noble sacrifice.
Oh yeah, very, very,
Yeah.
very yes.
Yeah.
You'll never be forgotten.
Noble
Pops.
indeed.
Your legacy will live on forever.
Yeah. Silver?
Yeah, for me, my top 3, I'd say that they shifted like quite a bit here and there, but like I feel like for me, the definitive top 3 would more or less be. Let's see if I can remember at least like top of my head. So if I'll start from 3 as well, kind of like just like 3 up to 1. So my third pick would be the most one of the more recent cartoons, and again I've ever talked about this like last time where initially I was misled by one of its earlier commercials because I thought that that they got their powers from ice cream, which was completely wrong. It was actually because of a gem on their stomach that was giving them powers.
Yeah.
And eventually, like once I saw it blow up on Tumblr specifically, after the first season kind of happened, I kind of like binged the first season myself and found out it was like obviously a really well written show, very very solid show. Granted, I know the show got it ended more or less because Cartoon Network kind of like kneecapped it. There was like a lot more planned for it, a lot more storylines that were like kind of like underbaked as a result of like them rushing to end the show. Steven Universe is just a phenomenal show altogether, though. I think had its chance to like really be fully realized with a lot of those storylines. It definitely would have been like to me like number 1, but like going back, it still had a lot of like great characters, a lot of like great moments, and Rebecca Sugar, she's been like a really like amazing creator to kind of like watch, and I really like enjoyed seeing her work as well. Number 2 for me is Code Name Kids Next Door. Great show. It's one of those shows where I feel like I've fully seen like it start from like the pilots, No Pee in the Ool, and Kenny and Chimp, those the real old pilots that and then eventually expanding into its own full series. Loved how just like the world building was, the 2x4 technology was very very cool, and it wasn't just like a standard, monster of the week kind of situation. Every episode seemed to be like building up towards something really, really like large. Finding out that like the kids that we were focusing on in Kids Like That were just Sector V. The fact that they're like the kids that are in the moon base. A lot of like evolving villains. The teenagers, not just Father, the delightful children from down the lane. A lot of like really big ones, of course. With number 1's dad being number 0. There's like a lot of like just great moments all together with that show, and I think it was just like really solid to see like how far it went. And again, I'm so mad that like Cartoon Network never did Galactic Kids Next Door, because there was a sequel series planned, but they ended up passing up on it because I guess there's one more Teen Titans Go at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and number 1, EpicMan's kind of like gotten most of it for me. Like for me, my number 1 show on Cartoon Network has always been Ed, Edd and Eddy. I'll never say no to like watching an episode of the show.
Yeah, let's go, baby.
I've always been like a huge fan of the cartoon. Danny is like a phenomenal creator. Never doubt like the power of like a quarter back then, because like quarters you know, whenever I had like quarters at all, like I felt like I was like the richest kid like on the block.
Yeah.
You know,
That's what we always think when we were kids.
exactly right. And like, granted, like I wasn't coming with any scams or anything like that. You know, granted, yeah, scams. You know, in that context, we're seen as we're seen as a good thing. Now, you know, we didn't realize like the true meaning of those because again, as kids, you know, when we were from the TV, it's like, you know, these are good things, right? No, they were not. You know.
You would blatantly see that these are
It's
not.
just innocent fun, you know. Just selling them like binoculars or a nice boat ride down a river.
Yeah.
Right. I'm pretty sure that like, you know, the ads have like influenced like the entrepreneurial spirit in somebody who's like, you know what, I can do that. Maybe not scam people, but like I can like maybe make a quick buck off of like something really, you know, interesting. You know, I think
the inspired Shark Tank.
yeah. Honestly, like I think the ads were like the very first time I finally understood the stock market. You know, everything must go up.
Everything must go up.
And funny enough, if it brought up the big picture show, the finale. I actually saw that like I think a year before they aired it in America because it actually aired in Australia first, and then it got delayed in America. Yeah, like I can remember I remember watching it on YouTube like a long time ago because someone had uploaded it before they had probably ended it in America.
Same here. Like I had to watch it on YouTube. That's how I got to watch it because somebody uploaded up on YouTube. And it was like, because they were gonna like do like an advertisement thing where they're gonna show off the whole thing. Well, show off the advertisements of the movie, and then of course put it on TV. But then it didn't come in.
It didn't come out.
So it was gonna be soon, but somehow somebody managed to put it up on YouTube because it was aired somewhere else. So yeah.
Right. And then and one last thing I was during there, my favorite episode of the show is the one where Ed was sleepwalking.
Oh my god!
Great episode. If you've never watched it, like man, it's just really solid stuff. Again, if you've ever seen like an episode of Ed and Eddie, I implore you to go see it. And even when the in the later season when they started to go to school, like I was very worried at that point.
God, yes.
I wasn't
like. I did see most of that era of and I remember like early before they started really going back to school, and great stuff altogether. I can quote some of these like episodes like verbatim, and like without even like thinking, it's all good.
Yep. Maple.
Okay, so it's really tough to choose because there are so many great shows on Cartoon Network. If it's okay, I just have some honorable mentions. I'm not going to say anything else.
Right
I'm just going to drop the titles.
Okay.
Adventure Time, Samurai Jack, Courage the Cowardly Dog, and Over the Garden Wall. All great shows. Just it's too tough to choose. My number 3. Well, Epic and Silver, we're already gushing over it. My number 3 pick is Ed, Edd, and Eddy. Funny enough, my top 3 are kind of like all from kind of different eras of Cartoon Network. Ed, Edd, and Eddy is my favorite show from like... Actually, it premiered like, was it late 90s or early 2000s? I think
around
it
the
was
late 90s.
99,
yeah. So like from like that earlier kind of era of Cartoon Network where we had shows like Powerpuff Girls, Dexter's Laboratory, Johnny Bravo. Like Ed, and Eddy was just my favorite like growing up. Just like it just went out there so many times with like all their different schemes, all the kinds of trouble that they got into, just nonchalantly just breaking the fourth wall. Is that Jimmy's outline?
That whole freaking that dream section, that whole dream episode.
Yes.
The whole dream section just like it really just it tickled my funny bone like no other show has. And I don't think any other show ever. Well, I don't know. That you never say never, but like I still haven't yet found a show that's like really tickled my funny bone the same way. Like it just seriously. Have you brought the cupcakes of sorriness? And then just like the whole thing with the Valentine's Day episode in the school where Rolf has to spray lemon into his eyes to see the berries.
Yeah, like
Oh
it's
my
all
goodness.
nonsensical like that. Like even that one episode where they had the whole because back then with cartoons they used to have these thing called the clip shows where they remember all the old episodes.
Mm-hmm.
They had that one
Mhm.
episode in Ed and Eddie where they sort of had a clip episode where they remember things that said, "Do you remember this and this and that?" And they just play something that never happened in the show
And that's never happened at all.
because they never
yeah.
because they were never intended to make clip shows because they didn't like that one. So Eddie was like, "I hate clip shows," and so it just like it just they just don't make fun of clip show episodes in cartoons with that one. It was so
Yeah.
funny.
And makes me wish I was hanging out with you guys, knowing like my dad wouldn't let me watch that show.
Yeah.
No, but you
I
know
mean,
what?
we all
At
been
some
together.
point, you gotta find an opportunity to like just be able to sit down and watch those shows. Like seriously, they are such a treat. And just like anybody else who hasn't watched Ed, Edd and Eddie, I implore you to just give a few episodes a try. Just just be prepared to just get thrown off like pretty much every episode.
Mhm.
Okay. My next one. Actually, the next two, I don't really have a specific number two and number one. It's really too difficult for me to choose which one's best between these two. So, next one, I guess you could say is from like the era like right after like Ed, Edd and Eddie, Powerpuff Girls, all that, like from like the mid 2000s. Um, I adored this show for many years, and I am still salty that we never really got a proper finish to it, and instead we got a spin-off that's just been kind of plaguing the network
Oh.
for such a long time. But my next pick is just Teen Titans. I
Yes.
love that
Of
show
course, I knew it.
Yeah.
so much. Just like seriously, like the backstory that you had for like every character, like really like giving each of them like their own like character progression with like Robin earlier on. You had like the whole thing with like Terra and Beast Boy, Cyborg having his own plot, Raven, and then Beast Boy technically again with the whole Brotherhood of Evil, but like
Mhm.
yeah, I know, just like it had like such a great mix of like character development, comedy with just like a lot of like artistic choices that are like very inspired by like Japanese anime, um and just it also just has its like fair share of just like funny moments with like all the characters, and just it's all just really endearing. Like some of my favorite villains in that show are like like the comic relief ones, like Mumbo Jumbo and oh my god, and Control Freak. That one episode where they all get sucked into like the TV stations. That's still my favorite episode.
Yeah.
Like
It's one of my
that one
favorites too.
that one episode of like that one part where Starfire is just like rhyming with the pelican. It's just like
Yeah,
and
I
then
remember that.
Beast comes in. Starfire, run for your life!
Remember the episode when Cyborg was a spy and he pretended to be this guy who wanted to join the Hive.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole
time.
arc of that. Yeah, that was a good. That was a
what
good
was
arc.
that?
Yeah, it
I think he
was.
called himself Stone. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, he was like
Yeah.
a stone, like he's stone.
Yeah.
Victor Stone. Yeah.
Yeah, that whole arc with him like that. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah. Also,
And-
also just like not to mention like John DiMaggio. Seriously, like you can't go wrong with him. Just like playing the villain, Brother
Indeed.
Bread, Brother Blood.
River Blood, yeah.
Yeah. And just like it sucks. I loved the way that season 5 ended. Like that whole culmination with like the Brotherhood of Evil like facing off against like the entire Teen Titans team is just like it was so amazing. And I guess that probably did seem like a suitable end along with the follow-up movie where they go to Japan, but like
Oh yeah, I love that movie.
but technically they never really finished things with like Slade. It's like he left after season 4. It's like you'll see me again, but then we never actually saw him again. And then we had that one episode with Tara coming back, and we never got anything after that. Which
The
just,
infamous.
Yeah.
It
That was a rough
is.
one.
It's painful. It was
Yeah.
painful, man.
Yeah.
Like, I hated that when that ended.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, and I don't know. I'm still hoping that one of these days I don't know, even if it's just another like movie event, something like that, just to kind of like close things out with like Terra and Slade.
I
Like
mean,
I think
maybe.
I would be so happy with that. It doesn't even have to be like a whole other season. Like just like a TV special if you want to do something like that. Like I would be okay with that, just to kind of tie up some loose ends.
Yep.
I
Um,
Yeah.
guess, but I don't know. It just feels like they're gonna need to do a lot more because there's a lot of loose ends they haven't finished up with the whole show, and I don't know a movie would fix that because that means you're gonna have to put in everything, and that's just not gonna bode
Like,
well for
well,
everyone.
there wasn't that much that like really needed to be tied up. It's just like their whole thing with Slade, and then just the fact that Tara came back. I think that's really the only that's like the last part of the plot that's still it's just been kind of like left open.
you know what's one thing?
Right.
You know what's one thing I wonder if they decide to bring it back and they decide to start calling Slade Deathstroke again.
All right.
Okay, that's probably
Didn't
what they would do just to kind of like close things out. Like
didn't
they
they make?
find out.
I don't know. They made fun of that in that one Teen Titans Go movie when they had him in there. I don't know if they make fun of that.
Hmm.
I need to watch that one actually because I heard it was a good movie.
Yeah, but okay, but yeah, no. Then just my last pick, just real quick, because I don't want to drag on too longer. So the last one is from kind of like I guess like the later era of like Cartoon Network and like the 2010s. We had shows like Adventure Time, Regular Show, like a bunch of other shows coming up, and Silver mentioned this in their top three. My other pick that kind of tied with Teen Titans for me is Steven Universe. Just like
There we go.
everything from like the animation, again, like the character development with like Pearl, Garnet, Amethyst, and Steven, just like all just kind of like just going through the motions of just like kind of contemplating with like what happened in that great Crystal War, just like that, yeah. Um, and then just like it again, like it has its fair share of like comedic moments. It's got some amazing music, like so many songs that have just stuck with me for like so many years, and just again, just like really touching on some like really serious subjects of just like dealing with loss, um, just like relationships and like all of that. It was just like all really touching, and just the end of the show before they moved on to Steven Universe. I'm already forgetting what the follow up series was. Uh, do you guys remember? It's like after the whole thing with White Diamond.
There was Steven
Oh,
Universe Future.
Future.
Yeah,
Yeah,
feature. Yeah,
yeah.
because
Yeah.
main series movie feature.
Yeah. I never actually got back to watch Future, and I never watched
Oh, you should.
I never watched the special like that happened like right after like the series ended. I still have to get on that, but just like the main series, the way that ended was just it hit so hard. I don't want to spoil anything, but just like
Mhm.
just don't get between a mother and her son. I will say that much.
Mhm.
Goddamn. But yeah, no. Again, amazing music, amazing characters. Still, my favorite song from that show is "It's Over, Isn't It?" from Pearl. Just like
Pearl.
It's
Yeah.
over, isn't it?
Great little great episode altogether is just like great just man, it is ever like a show I'm like that's like that where emotion just feels like so raw, like that show is definitely it right there.
yeah, no, exactly. That's just why I love it. They just don't hold back on like any of the messaging of just like just kind of like coping with like certain like traumatic events and stuff like that, and just like it feels real. It feels truly genuine, and that's just why I love it so much. But yeah, no, that's my top three.
Very good. You got some pretty interesting picks for your top threes overall. I'm gonna have three different picks, but I will say one of the biggest honorable mentions will actually be Steven Universe for me. But here are my top three. And these three have not been mentioned at all. under any circumstances. Like the Powerpuff Girls is definitely an honorable mention, but Dexter's Laboratory. Dexter's Laboratory was a show that I used to watch a lot of. I've watched that when it started. I remember it had 4 pilots, all of which have aired on the show. The first one was Dexter's Laboratory, which is basically when Dee Dee goes into the lab, and then Dexter had this device, which once you press a button, it turns like somebody into an animal. In this case, they would turn each other into different animals throughout the entire episode. Dee Dee, get out of my laboratory! Because I remember first seeing that, and I thought that was really cool that they that was one of the first pilots that they did for the What a Cartoon block. Before, and then Dexter became popular enough, and he was the first one to have his own show. The other pilots that they had were like the Big Sister, where Dee Dee becomes a 50-foot tall giant sister. Old Man Dexter, because Dexter wanted to stay up late to watch some TV with his family, but however he went too far, he became old. And then a failed experiment in the 4th pilot, Dexter became a dimwit. And then we got the show, which all those the thing is that all those shorts I feel like were actually made for the show, whereas the Dexter's Lab, like the one where they changed animals, that was an actual pilot. That was the very first pilot episode that we actually got to see. There was an alternate version with different lines, but it was not completely animated. There's just storyboards. But what I remember also is that show, it lasted for 2 seasons, then it ended, and then it came back. However, Gendy Tartakovsky was not a part of it for the 3rd and 4th season because he was too busy working on Samurai Jack, which Samurai Jack is also a great show. Honorable mention as well. Number 2 for me. So Dexter's number 3 for me. Number 2 for me. And this show, I remember the moment that it was on Cartoon Network, and I would just watch this a lot back in the 2000s. Like I know, like obviously when we got Teen Titans, and then we got like Hi Hi Puffy Ami Yumi. What I also remember was there was a show that had 2 seasons. It had a pilot because I remember. Like in 1999, we had the Big Pick, which, not 1999, sorry, it's 2000. It was the Big Pick that was for Billy and Mandy. 2001 was Kids Next Door. 2002 was a show, like, it gave us a pilot to a show that was called Lowbrow. And then when that show first aired on TV, it had a different name, and that was Megas XLR. That show was incredible. So that show for me, I remember first watching that pilot. I'm like, oh my God, this actually looks amazing because they had like a giant robot. And I'm assuming that they had inspiration from like Voltron, from Macross or Robotech is how they was called in the United States, Gundam and all that. Like if you think anything, any anime, any TV show that had giant robots, that's basically what it was. Chick stick giant robots. That's basically what it was. That show was great. You have a character named Coop who was played by the son of David DeLuise. He was this big, like, tall, obese guy from, like, New Jersey that loves video games, just loves all the nerdy shit. He's basically just an everyday guy that just loves nerdy shit. And then it's like he would take control. He would take control of the Megas, and he would pilot it. He basically did it on the fly. He knew his shit. So aside from Coop, the thing about that show, what I remember was that Coop had his best friend Jamie, which is who was played by Stephen Bloom. It was just there. It was like basically the sidekick. I can't pronounce the girl's name that came from the future. She came from like 3037. I believe it was Kiva.
Yeah, I believe Kiva. Like, was her name Kiva?
Yeah, it was Kiva. She came from the future.
Yeah, Kiva. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And and then went to the 21st century. And the show would have this huge running gag where they actually make fun of MTV. They call it Pop TV. Every time you see like anything MTV related, they basically do what they can to take a lot of cheap shots at it. There's a reason for that, because the animation team, they originally made a show on MTV called Downtown, which aired in 1999 and lasted for one season, lasted for a couple of episodes, and it got canceled. And MTV pretty much just didn't really care about it. Like, they just gave up on that show. And then they went to Cartoon Network and they made their own show. And I remember that there was a character that's in both of those shows. I don't remember his name, but in Mega 6LR, he had a junkyard. And he, like, it had a garbage dump, but yeah. And the thing about it is that the show took place in New Jersey, and I thought it was really good. I thought it was a fantastic show. It's a shame that it did not like get a chance to continue telling its stories. It had 2 seasons. It did seem like they had an ending, but I felt like it was not necessarily like a series finale, but rather a season finale style ending, in which that, while yes, whatever threat they were facing against was gone, and that if there would have been another season, that they would deal with a new threat, new set of villains or whatever. But no, they just pulled the plug on it, and then they would start airing it in time slots in which that nobody would watch it, because Cartoon Network just gave up on the show, and they've written it off as a tax write-off, so they can never rerun that show ever again. They can't put it on Max. They can't put it on anything. However, you could still buy it on the Xbox Marketplace. They still have all the episodes up there. That's the only way you can actually support the show legally.
Huh.
Yes. So that's my number 2, Megas XLR. And number 1, this one for me, I really was apprehensive about this show at first. Didn't really know how to think about it. Didn't really know what to make of it. But the moment I laid my eyes on it, the moment I watched it, I just couldn't get enough. And I absolutely loved this show. It had a pilot back in 1995. And I thought it was all right at the time. But then when I watched the show, I just could not stop. Courage the Cowardly Dog. Courage was an amazing show. You see, you have this dog who was living in a farm with an old couple, like Eustace being like a complete asshole, and Muriel is very sweet, very nice. And it gets to a point where there's a lot of supernatural stuff. They live in the middle of nowhere in a farm. There's a lot of supernatural in the show. You would have like different episodes. Like I remember the pilot was about the chicken that came from outer space. Well, there was an episode where he came back. You would have that one cat that would come in every episode with a different occupation. He had a hotel. He would want to sell you. I don't remember if he was trying to sell something to the family, but I remember also one episode that stands out to me was like, "Return the slab."
Oh yeah, that animation.
I suffer my curse.
Yes. And I remember there was like this one episode that came in, I think in the 2nd or the 3rd season, where all I hear in my head is, "It's a gerbil's world." Like,
that
it's
song.
a gerbil's world. Like that one, like with the gerbil and everything. There was like an episode where both like Eustace and Courage were giant monsters in France, and I remember like at the end of it, like fucking Eustace was eating all these fucking croissants as a way, and then like because Courage was basically trying to feed him croissants just to slow him down so he can get captured, so that way he can get Eustace out of there. I remember that one. I remember the episode where Eustace, um, I don't remember the circumstances of how this happened, but Eustace have seen like an image of his past self when he was a little kid, like an innocent little kid, and it actually.
Oh,
I don't.
yeah. No, I remember that one. I think that was like I think was it the one with like the little like dog like magical like witch or whatever? I think she like put a curse on him that had like a rain cloud always be over him as long as he
Yeah.
was
yeah,
always
Yeah,
being
that
so
was it.
mean.
Yeah.
And at one
Oh,
point
yeah.
he
Now I
was up
remember.
on the roof and he lost his glasses, and that's when Courage like put the mirror up to him and he saw himself as a kid.
Now I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I absolutely remember that.
Yeah.
But I also remember so many different episodes about that. But the biggest episode that easily stands out to me, there was this goose. There was that goose that came in that was
Goose God.
and Muriel was swooning
God.
over him. Muriel was swooning over
Yeah.
him. I remember that one. I also remember like how like the show had a couple of seasons, and I think that they had like a special, which I didn't get a chance to watch the special, but they even had a crossover with Scooby Doo. Like,
Yep.
Oh,
they
but
do.
that was
okay.
much later. I did not see it, but I know that they did that.
I gotta see that one.
But I watched Courage, and I absolutely love that show so much. But who here remembers Sheep of the Big City?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
I'm not a mad scientist. I'm an angry
You're
scientist.
an angry scientist.
Yep.
I think I might have seen episodes, but I don't think I really remember it too well.
I think it was from the same production company that also did Codename Kids Next Door. Because Codename Kids Next Door was obviously more popular of a show, which Codename Kids Next Door was really good too. But yeah, so the next question I want to ask everybody here is, what were some Cartoon Network shows that you guys have felt ended way too soon? Kyle?
Well, not sure if this really would count like as ending way too soon, but I feel like Camp Laszlo is like one because like the final episode was like the real like Scoutmaster Lupus like coming to arrest the imposter Lupus. It's like that's the way that the series ended. Like
Well-
who exactly was this imposter anyway? Like how did he get away with like being a camp counselor for this long? Like
Well,
like how exactly did these two like know each other? Like it just ended like that, but like no like actual like backstory or like of who
I
exactly
don't-
it is.
I don't think it needed it to be. I felt that with that episode and like that, I think it's just a funny gag that they just want to just throw it out there, just be like, "Yep, just another day in this world where shit happens." Because Camp Lazlo is just a show that is always nonsensical. Nothing is taken seriously because really we're in a campsite and batshit insane things always happen. I mean, it is the same creator from Rocco's Modern Life. So really, are we really gonna expect anything broadly with about backstories? Honestly,
Yeah.
with these characters,
Well,
I mean,
True.
I don't know. It's
It
just
just
I thought the ending was fitting for me
Yeah,
for a show like
true.
this.
But I guess with that whole plot twist and then just like the end of the series just kind of like felt off like a big plot twist and then like show's over.
well, fun fact,
Yeah.
the real Scoutmaster was actually supposed to be Heifer from Rocko's Modern Life, but they couldn't actually use that character because he's owned by Nickelodeon. So
Yep.
Yeah.
they changed it into like an old seer that looked and sounded like Heifer, but he sounded more older. He was voiced by the same voice actor, Tom Kenny. So they had to change him up for the finale because the original version of it was actually Heifer.
Mm-hmm.
They were worried about getting sued by Nickelodeon because that was one of their characters.
Yep.
But yeah. Do you have any other shows that you want to bring up, Kyle, that you thought ended too soon, or is that the one for you?
I say like maybe another one like that one that Hito got me into that introduced me to was like Infinity Train. Like
Yeah.
basically like
I gotta
I-
watch that more.
like I heard like each season like each character like get their own ending, but I forgot the lady's name that's still on the train. Like I heard like she never like got like a proper like conclusion to her story.
Oh yeah. I still have to watch Infinity Train myself.
Yeah, same here. Honestly,
Yeah.
I've heard so many good things about that show, but like, everything that happened with
Everything happened because
Cancellation.
Cartoon Network didn't want to move on.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it feels like that every character got their own ending, but like except for that one lady.
Mm.
What about you, Silver? What were some shows you felt that ended way too soon?
Shows that ended way too soon. Well, there's like a lot of like, I think this is like, you could make a case for saying that like a lot of like the 2000s on Cartoon Network had like a lot of shows that were either like it seemed very sink or swim on Cartoon Network, because like if you weren't like really like connecting to a certain demographic, or like you weren't really like making much of an impact, you like really just cut instantly, almost like, because like a lot there's some shows that I bring up that like only like very few people remember, or they're like, oh yeah, that's a show that existed. Like for example, Time Squad.
No.
Time Squad was like a really fun show. I loved the idea of like, oh, these three adventurers go back in history to fix moments in history where like things could have gone wrong, where like it's supposed to happen like this, but it's going in a different way. And they had to go back to time and fix it. And unfortunately, Time Squad never really ended up connecting as much to people, so that got cut.
Yeah.
I know CN did like a huge push for Puffy Yumi when they were making like their US debut. Of course they did the theme song for Teen Titans. They had their own show, Hi Puffy Yumi, which only lasted I think about 2 seasons
Yeah.
or so. Yeah, it's another show that kind of like just like was there, and it only stuck around for as long as like there was like a bit of like a big like Puffy hype basically. So like once their hype was like fading, once Network didn't find much really like glean from them, that was gone too.
They actually had 3 seasons.
3 seasons. There we go. I wasn't sure if it was 2 or 3. And then also for me, I know technically this was technically the second show in a package deal, but the show that ended up surviving was the more popular show, which is Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. I actually did like Evil Con Carne when it was out there, because it felt like a great like parody of like the whole supervillain troop. Like I'm thinking more like like the Octopowers, Dr. Evil, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And where like it's a superhero who got more or less blasted to bits, and all this stuff is his brain and his stomach, but they're attached to like a really incompetent bear, and they're trying to like do evil things, but like it ended up like being in like, more wacky scenarios as a result of as a result of like obviously like what's been caused to to the main guy Hector Carne. And again, Grimm was just like extremely popular compared to Evil Con Carne, and then eventually they just folded most of the characters from Evil Con Carne into Adventures of Billy and Mandy. So I always felt that like it ended way too soon, but if anything, it got more. It just got more cannibalized by the more popular show than like it dying, because like it does live on, but it never got its own like chance to like really shine, because people preferred Grimm way more. And of course we've heard about with Megas XLR, that's been like doomed in its own way, and Infinity Train, like. But those 3 shows I bring up like are like my biggest like ones where I feel like they were around for a bit, and then they just, once they weren't really like making they weren't really around like on the level of like say like a Ben 10 or like or Powerpuff Girls, let's say.
Yeah.
They were kind of just dropped like a bad habit. Again, the 2000s were like a really sink or swim time, because like if you weren't like making a case for to stay around, you were getting cut pretty quickly. So
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, the 2000s was definitely the sink or swim era. You were 100% correct on that. Maple, are there shows that you felt that ended on Cartoon Network way too soon?
Well, the ones that I did follow, like a little bit more than others, like I felt like they lasted like a fairly good amount of time. Like there weren't any that were really cut short for me. I mean, the only one that I could bring up again is like Teen Titans, but I know that already lasted like for 5 seasons, just maybe like a little something to tie up some loose ends, like I mentioned before. but like I just tried looking up some Cartoon Network shows and just seeing like how long they lasted, and I was kind of surprised to see that Cow and Chicken was only around for 2 years. So like I thought that show was seriously just like so much fun, so crazy. Kind of had like a similar energy to it that kind of like Ed and Eddie did, with just like how spontaneous it was.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, I was kind of surprised that only lasted for a couple of years. And then another title came up, and I was like, I honestly haven't watched the show, but I've heard amazing things about it, and just like disappointment from people about how quickly it ended. OK KO. I heard that show was really good from friends, and just I do really want to actually try that show out because I do really like the art style of it. I liked the cameos that they have here and there on that show, and yeah, no, I definitely want to give that show a try.
All right. Epic Man?
Well, I would say, for me, like, I mean, I would have wanted to go ahead and talk about Teen Titans, since I thought that one abruptly ended too soon for wanting to continue on with the stories. But there's been a lot of like smaller shows that got greenlit, but then just sooner or later they would get either immediately canceled or just didn't get remembered by the network. Some of them are not so well known, or just other ones that like just pretty much just forgotten at all. And there's this one that I looked up into because I remember fondly. Well, I wouldn't say fondly, but this is a show I barely remember, but I know I've seen it once or twice on Cartoon Network. And after looking it up about how long it had aired, it surprised me it aired only for this little. And this show, and I'm pretty sure nobody remembers this show is called Robotomy. Like, this show was it's a robot show, and this only lasted for like a little bit, for like a few months. Apparently it only had like a few episodes and all, so nobody remembers this show, but it lasted for this little that nobody really remembers it. And like it says here, it only did 10 episodes for one season. Started from October 25th until 2010, and then it only lasted until January 24th, 2011, and it only took that long for it to be canceled. It was supposed to be like the shortest show that ever got canceled ever, and it really puts me in the weird spot to think that, man, that show could have been something, because I thought the show was aesthetically pleasing. It's about these two robots living in a planet of robots where it has been inherited by murderous robots to seek out killing another for no reason, but yet it's all fun and games with these two characters, Thrasher and Blastus, these two characters that you follow. And it's like a really funny, wacky, episodic show where things happen all the time in a world full of robots, where everything dies or everything just goes thrashing in all each other's faces. And just, it was supposed to be like this comedy adventure kind of crazy kind of world for at his time what it was. But it was the weirdest short running show that never got anywhere else, and it really weirds me out because I would have wanted to see more of it if I had a chance to check it out, but it pretty much just got ended. It just straight up ended at all. So that's short lived. So I would have wanted to see more of that. I would have wanted to see more of Symbiotic Titans. That also was something that I got pissed to see that ended, because man, that was it was getting somewhere ever since they had to cancel it because it wasn't getting any more sales for the merchandising, which honestly sucks to see. But man, like, it would have been something greater, because it felt like it would have been the next hit they could have gotten. But sadly, merchandising talks, money talks, and it ended the show really quickly. And that one puts me in a down mood when I heard about it. So yeah, I would say that one also puts me down for any shows.
You could also make the same case for shows like the Thundercats reboot from 2011 or Young Justice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but even then, even the Young Justice had a chance of coming up on Netflix, but then even afterwards, people weren't so thrilled for how long it took, because it took them this long to come back, and still feeling like it wasn't worth it for how long it took. But
Right.
yeah, that one's also another one.
All right. I
But
got
yeah, that's pretty much me.
I got a couple, and this one I'm surprised nobody brought this up. So like obviously, like I would bring up Megas like Solar again because that was a show
Mhm.
that I felt that could have gone longer. But here's a show that I felt that should have had a lot more time in the spotlight than how much it actually did.
Mhm.
And that's Whatever Happened to Robot Jones.
See, I was so close to bringing it
Yeah, I
up.
would have wanted
Actually,
to say that.
That's
I
another
would've
show.
wanted to say
I
that.
was very close to bringing it up. Like it was like
Yeah.
it was like so close because I remember it very well. But I'm like that also did fall off really fast too.
It did. Like that
Yeah.
show to me is probably one of Cartoon Network's most underrated shows. Like it had a pilot. Like it was in the same group that Megas XLR was back in 2002, where
Yeah,
it
I
had a
watched
pilot,
that.
Mm.
and then eventually it spun off to being its own show anyway. Like the pilot was popular enough to get a show, and it lasted for I think let me check. I think it was 2 seasons, and then after that it
I
just
believe so.
died. Yeah, like and I heard that the creators wanted to bring it back, but they just could never really get a chance to bring it back. Yeah, it was 2 seasons. With 2 seasons with 13 episodes that have 27 segments. I felt that this show could have actually come back at some point, and it never did. It's a shame.
Yeah, it is. I did follow the creator on Twitter. He just made his own Twitter not too long ago, so I followed him.
Yeah, and the thing about it is this. There was another show. Here's another show that I want to bring up that I felt, even though it had 4 seasons, I felt it could have had a lot longer life cycle. And that's,
Mhm.
I know this one was hit or miss for some people, but there was actually a cartoon based on Mad Magazine. It was just Mad.
Oh right,
Mad.
I remember Mad.
And the way,
Mad, of course.
and my approach for the show when I watch it, I think that it was Robot Chicken for kids. That's what I was thinking it was. Like because that's the closest thing to Robot Chicken for kids. But
Yep, you're right.
I actually enjoyed the show. Like, it's pretty much the same type of humor that you would get from the Mad magazines. Whereas like parodies of all things pop culture, and of course you're gonna get Spy versus Spy. You're definitely gonna be getting that.
Yeah.
But I thought it was fun. I felt that even though it had 4 seasons, I just felt that that show could have actually gone on for a lot longer. And I do want to bring up one more show that I felt that ended way too soon, and it should have had more time in the oven. Like I would have said Samurai Jack a long time ago, but it did get its finale
He
years
got
later.
concluded.
So
Yeah.
so at least Samurai Jack, they actually managed to right the wrong there. Sadly, I can't say the same thing about like again Samurai Jack is another one, but I unfortunately cannot say the same thing about a couple other shows, but one in particular, even though it had 2 seasons, I actually wanted more out of this show. Scooby-Doo Mystery Inc. The best Scooby-Doo show ever. I felt like it had 2 seasons. It was well written. Like they decided at first you would think that it would go like the typical Scooby-Doo tropes that it would normally do, but they start going in different directions. Like they decided to do with the whole experiment with the whole Shaggy and Velma potentially being in a relationship together, but then it turns out that Shaggy wasn't really all that interested, and that disappointed Velma. And then it got to a point where by the end of season 1, after the case was solved, everyone went their own separate ways. Everybody wanted nothing to do with each other. The only one that wanted to bring everybody back together was Scooby-Doo himself. And the second season, I felt went in so many different directions, but I thought the show was really good. It's like there has not been a Scooby-Doo show that has made me as invested the way that Mr. Ink did. Sure, I watched a lot of Scooby-Doo when I was a kid. I watched Scooby-Doo Where Are You? I've watched A Pup Named Scooby-Doo. I watched the 13
What's new, Scooby-Doo?
I watched the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo as well. But Mystery Inc. was the best. It was the absolute best. And then the show that replaced it was Be Cool Scooby-Doo. That show sucked. That was basically it was basically Scooby Doo, but it had a Family Guy style art style.
Yes,
And
have similar kind of life art style, but like for weird how it is because I honestly thought people would have thrashed it as it deserved, but but then I remember in some cases some people say that it actually isn't as so bad because it wasn't trying to be like cause even if the art style looks like Family Guy, it's not trying to be like Family Guy. It's
nah, I did remember
just
one.
the art for whatever they wanted to
Okay,
do.
one more show because it just came into my head. And I don't want to forget about it. The Looney Tunes show.
Oh yeah.
You know, yeah. Oh my
The Looney Tunes
god.
show. 2 seasons, but I felt that even though the second season was hit and miss, I felt that the show could have had a much longer shelf life than what it actually had.
I agree. I honestly agree with
Like,
that.
That was a really good show.
And the thing is that this was actually the show that I've been wanting to see from Warner Brothers since the 90s. Since like when I was watching Tiny Toon Adventures, I was like, I want something like that, but with the actual Looney Tunes. And then we finally got it, and they only had 2 seasons. Granted, 52 episodes is nothing to sneeze at, but they could have done a lot more.
Yeah, like it's just a bonker of an idea of just seeing how imagine if the Looney Tunes live in their own reality world like us, where everyone's neighbors and they had jobs and such. You know, not just they're not really just cartoon characters doing wacky stuff. They are actually human beings, like just doing their own business in their life, and it's absurd to see like something like this where Daffy and Bugs living together, and Bugs is always just mad at Daffy for doing some insane shit that makes him driving insane. Like in the first episode where he was really just had enough of Daffy, and it just spooked me to think that did they really do that?
They adopted Taz as their pet.
Yeah, like that's a weird thing too. Like you don't think about that because really, like for that, you just accept it like that. Like really.
And then Yosemite Sam was the annoying asshole next door neighbor, and Lola Bunny was the crazy girlfriend.
Which I love because oh my god, to be honest, like people say that she is the wacky girlfriend type of character, which you can say that, but honestly I prefer this Lola over the other Lola from Space Jam, honestly.
I would this Lola's hilarious.
Kristen Wiig like did a good job with her.
She did a good job.
I wish I checked out the show. It looked like it was a lot of fun. Just like I'm kind of wondering if people just like weren't into the idea of like seeing like these kind of like wacky characters in like real life situations, because like it kind of like I kind of wondered, wait, hold on a second, was this actually around the same time when ABC was trying to push that Muppets TV show? And I think they were both around the same time. So
actually,
I don't know if
it was for when the second season of Looney Tunes show, because when the first season it came out in 2011, when Adventure Time was the big show, and regular show was also around. So it came out in the Cartoon Network the early Cartoon Network Renaissance of 2010s. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I was googling the Muppet Show, and actually the Muppet TV show was like more like around 2015, like middle of 2010. So probably not around.
Yeah, that's like way late. That's like way later.
Yeah.
Because I don't think like, because I feel like with the Looney Tunes it was like sort of a one of its kind that to be like that before anything else. Because honestly, I would have liked to see other franchises or show to adapt something like this to see if it would work. You know, to see what other cartoon characters would do in real life situations, but for fun, you know, just to see what would they do. You know, we react how they would do because, you know, you don't see them as like real people because you just see them as funny cartoon characters just doing wacky shit or whatever, you know. But you want to see what they do.
Yeah, I remember like some episodes they had like different like songs like in between, and that Elmer Fudd and Grilled Cheese like.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that
honestly, they
fucking music video. Holy shit!
they fucking peaked with that one. That was the first one, and none of them that came after that was anywhere near as good as that.
He really loves that grilled cheese, man. Oh my god.
They peaked with
I was
it.
like, what the? I was
You
like,
see,
what the
you
fuck was I
see his
watching?
face. His face is like, oh yeah. What the
Mhm.
fuck? What is this? And that was like I think that was like the first episode. I think
It was the first
honestly
episode.
the first
It was.
episode. Like,
was.
wow, we're starting off with this kind of shit. Okay, I see what you're doing, guys.
Yeah.
All right, come on. Yeah, because they do a lot of these music video type of segments in between shows, which I honestly thought was a really a neat idea to have, because you want to see like some funny segments to just break off from what's going on in the real world. You know, like that's like a good idea, I would say.
Yeah. And I know the second season did have a Christmas episode too, but the first season had the CGI Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote shorts. The second one
Oh,
didn't,
yeah.
but the first one did.
Yeah, I wonder why
Yeah.
I don't know why they got rid of it, because like they were entertaining to watch.
Yeah,
Mm.
but I just felt, again, I felt this show could have lasted a lot longer, but that's the cartoons that ended way too soon. The next thing I want to ask before we do the community questions, how much impact did Cartoon Network leave all you guys? How much has Cartoon Network left the impact for you guys? Silver, we'll go with you.
Impact. Wow. Definitely a lot, because again, like I grew up, like again, to me, when I was growing up, there was the big three. There was Cartoon Network, there was Disney Channel, there was Nickelodeon. And Cartoon Network just had like the edge, because Nickelodeon, they had Nick at Night, which kind of was lame. Disney at the time, they had Walt Disney, that was kind of like but Cartoon Network was like the true 24-hour cartoon network, obviously. And to me, I found like just an endless like treasure trove of like creative like elements, all sorts of characters to really impart yourself onto, a lot of scenarios that that I would like imagine myself in, but plus also just like try to like see how these characters go through their struggles, and also just like a daily life in their shoes. And there's a lot that I've really taken from the experiences of said characters, plus also the works of each animator. And I would not be surprised to think that like a lot of that boundless creativity has like found its way into like my works in some way, where like no matter like the show, like granted, like there are shows that I thought that were good, there are shows that were bad, but regardless, a lot of different kind of shows like had like a home on Cartoon Network, like the not just the standard stuff, but like a lot of the weird stuff, a lot of stuff that you even really think about, um its impact on me personally. Again, like I remember just loving cartoons. I would draw them a bunch in my books at school. I would again, like imagine my own scenarios with certain characters. Because eventually when it was really getting like video games, like I got to play some of their official games, some of their stuff on the website, for example, and seeing them in like all sorts of like different forms of media. Again, I got exposed to other forms of media through them as well. I got to like learn about like so many different things. Again, understanding the value of a quarter from from Ed and Nettie.
Yep.
The boundless magic of being a kid and Kid Next Door. The impact of like just loving your family and your friends in the Steven Universe. It's like there's always like a message, there's always, like a bit of a theme to really like latch on to. And I think like growing up, like just having that space for me as a kid was very, very necessary, because like granted, like a lot in the world at the time was like just going in a weird way. I remember exactly to bring this up. Like I remember like when 9/11 happened, Cartoon was like one of the only like networks out there that was like not showing anything related to what was going on. Like there was like nonstop cartoons. It was basically like a safe space for a lot of the kids at the time to like really like just like be away from that. And I remember that very, very well. Where like they never really deviated from the mission of like being the 24-hour like cartoon, a cartoon network. And I feel like having that sort of like place for children was like just really big. Cartoons get like a lot of bad rap for like for poisoning the minds of kids and all, and yada yada yada. But like I think what those creators did at the time was to like really give kids like a way to like really find a vessel, if anything, to like just pour all their imagination into, and just like to like live through that, live like vicariously through that.
Yeah.
Granted, like in a safe manner, not like something crazy, but like being able to like just express themselves. And Cartoon Network gave me a more of a platform to believe that I was like an operative in Kids Next Door, that I could like be rolling in Jawbreakers or whatever. It just like has like a lot of like just amazing worlds to like really immerse yourself into. And at the end of the day, it's still a cartoon, but like you still like really come away with like a feeling that like, hey, that was something that I really enjoyed, and that was something that I really loved. And I think that the fact that it's still going on today is great. Granted, a lot of the cartoons that are there now may not be the same as the ones that we grew up with, but it's still many years later still a place for kids to watch cartoons and to enjoy like a lot of like great content. So
Yep.
that's a thing back to me.
Yep. And I 100% agree with you on that. Maple?
Mm.
Yeah, no, just like Cartoon Network was just like always just that reliable network that could just provide you with like quality entertainment. I mean, obviously, just like I was growing up, just like going through the motions with school, studying, doing homework and everything, and just like Cartoon Network was just like a really nice escape just from the stresses of just like growing up, going through school, and all that. And yeah, no, just like there were so many shows, even though like some of them had like a lot, like for the most part, just like really wacky moments, just like good laughs and whatnot. Like there were also like a lot of tender moments that like just kind of like really made you feel for the characters. Like Courage the Cowardly Dog's backstory episode, Ed and Eddie's finale episode. A lot of the messages shown through like the Teen Titans episode, like one that like really stuck with me was the one where like was it the Teen Titans were like introduced to like this one other hero from like another world who turned out to just be like a really racist prick.
Oh, yeah, I remember
Yeah.
him.
Oh,
Yeah, and he kept on
Yeah.
calling Starfire like this horrible name.
Yeah.
But despite all of that, Starfire knew how much like the rest of the team was like really gushing over him, and like she still wanted to like just kind of like keep things going, like keep everybody happy. But like when they found out like how he was making her feel, of course everybody rallied together with her, and she had that one quote at the end of the episode, like there'll always be people who want to make you feel, I guess like less than or something like that. I forget the exact quote, and like the words from those people don't matter. It's the words of the people who really care for you and are there for you that truly matter.
Yes.
And it's like it's messages like those that are really important to just kind of like instill in kids like as they're growing up, and also just appreciation for just like animations, the arts. And like I know I mentioned this when we did like part 1, but again, just kind of going back to like old school Looney Tunes, just like how they incorporated like classical music and like some of their shorts and some of their episodes. Like I know like for some people like that could have been like their entry into like the world of like classical music that some people might end up being passionate about, and like they can just kind of like point to that as like that's what got me interested. And yeah, no, it's those kind of engagements that's just like really important, and that I always appreciate it from Cartoon Network.
Yep. Very good on that. Epic Man?
Well, for me, I would have some like similarities, like what you guys say, for my kind of experience with Cartoon Network. But I mean, it's not just with Cartoon Network. I mean, I watch other networks like with Nickelodeon and Disney Channel. I mean, they all they all handle me to get through with school, with life in general, just everything. And think that with Cartoon Network itself, it being my most watched show, a network that I've watched than any other ones I've ever lived with, because the shows
Mhm.
there are unique for me. They were all pretty much different and just amazing to have memories of, with like action shows like with Ben 10, with Teen Titans, and of course with comedies like Ed and Eddie and Camp Lazlo and Johnny Bravo. Just all these shows that I've watched just made me wanna, I guess, express myself even more. Even if like I don't tend to dwell well in school back in the day, but I mean
Mhm.
I try to be like, I try not to be like, I guess, I don't know, boring, I guess, in a way. I try to like make things more fun with watching cartoons and talking about the funny shows of like moments in the cartoons, because I want to make friends who have the same experience of me watching cartoons, to, you know, to think about all the fun times that we always have together, experiencing the same episodes, the same moments we always want to think about, because, things like these is something that we need to escape from all the horrible things in the world, and it's always just nice to share it with other people. And like, it's for me that with shows like these, makes me wanna makes me really want to, um make everyone, be entertained, have a good time, share memories. Like everything witness in the shows just makes you laugh, makes you smile, just forget about the bad things for a moment there. Because really, life is short. You don't want to waste it all on just being all negative all the time. And I don't want to be all downer of just everything. You just want to lay back and just want to just turn off your brain for maybe a moment. Just think about things like, with things of your childhood that makes you smile. And Cartoon Network was a part of my childhood memories that make me smile. I mean, apart with being my family and all, and playing games and whatnot, just there's a lot of things that makes you smile, makes you happy with you being a kid. Because being a kid, you can pretty much do whatever you want and have a good time. Because if you ever think about being a parent and you want to have your kids being all being in a good place, good time, you want to provide them as much as love you want them to have, and you would want that out of from your love, and just show them, how would you make yourself smile. And because everyone has their own ways of making themselves smiles, not just with cartoons. But for me, Cartoon Network was like one of my favorite things to watch. Makes me smile all the time, and it never leaves me out of it, because it's just a good time to be a kid, to just have a good time and share memories and just laugh out loud whenever something crazy happens. Just, never be afraid of showing your expressions of what you like about being a kid back then. It's just, you know, it's just that you gotta let it out. Have yourself a good time, because that's the most important thing. It's just have a good time when you have the time for it,
Yeah.
because you don't want to waste
Mhm.
it all. So Cartoon Network has been always been good for me, and even I had times with my my family, my my late grandparents back then, when they were watching it with me, when we watched Tom and Jerry, Popeyes, because they were a fan of the show back then. And yeah, like pretty much the show just makes us all smile, bring us together
Yeah.
back then, and it's always good to remember them and have fond memories with them. Yeah, that's pretty much my experience.
Very good.
Thank you.
Kyle?
Yeah, Cartoon Network, like it was just really was just like my a big part of my childhood. It's just like just watching shows every day, like just coming out, just getting home from school, just watching all these amazing shows, just seeing like all these characters, like they just like felt like so real, and they really did like teach you a lot. And it's like the way that they taught you was it wasn't like they're like spoon feeding you like they do like those preschool shows. Like they actually like wait for like the right moment like to teach you like the valuable lesson. Like with Starfire, like what Maple said with Starfire when everyone was like all for that hero, but like when they learned the truth out of him, like they were all siding with Starfire. And like how the girls, Powerpuff Girls, like just like educated like that villain about like Susan B. Anthony, and how Jojo was like schooled by the Powerpuff Girls about who Napoleon was. Like, and like it just really like taught you all about history and such. Like cartoons today like doesn't really like do that nowadays. Like I don't think there really is like any cartoons like that. But man, like back then, like they really like made you think about everything. Like they really made you feel. And like that's what I like just liked about it. Like it's like I can actually like feel with these characters, like what they're feeling. Like that episode of like how with the Powerpuff Girls where like Blossom like got that gift for the professor, but she felt guilty because like she did something bad, but like it was like she had good intentions, but it's like you really like it's like you feel bad for her, but you're also like mad at her at the same time. It's like these characters like no other characters today like will be like them back then.
No.
Yeah, no, like everybody has like their own like things that they're dealing with, and just like they're all great characters, but you know, like sometimes they show off their flaws or things that are just they just learn along the way.
Yep.
Yeah.
So for Cartoon Network, for me, and how much impact it's left on me, well, whenever I really needed something, whenever like I come home from school and things haven't been so great for me, Cartoon Network's there. Whenever I just want to be able to just get entertained, Cartoon Network's there. Whenever I wanted to just find something to do as a way to take my mind off of like the good, like some of the good things, I just want something for myself, or for the bad things that I just want to escape from a lot of different situations that's going on in my life. Cartoon Network was always there for me whenever I needed to watch. And especially like I too remember like when it was 9/11 and like Cartoon Network was there, like just still showing cartoons and just kept going despite the fact that with the big significant real world events that were happening for kids, they just wanted some sort of an escape from all that, and that was definitely it. And also whenever like other channels are doing marathons of shows that I'm not interested in, and Cartoon Network is just doing their regularly scheduled programming, at least I have Cartoon Network to fall back on. Like whenever like Nickelodeon would do like those world day of play,
Worldwide of play,
and then like they
play.
and then like
World Day
they
Play, yeah.
they paused all their programming for the day. That was the moment where all those kids would just flip over to Cartoon Network
Yeah.
and
I
watch
was one of those kids. I was one of those kids.
Just watch this.
because because the flip side, at least we have options. Like because like of the big three, you have Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, and Disney Channel. But Cartoon Network was admittedly, I didn't really watch too much of Disney Channel like in the 2000s or whatever, but it was, if it wasn't Nickelodeon, it was Cartoon Network. And I was, and while I was more of a Nickelodeon fan in the 90s, I was more of a Cartoon Network fan in the 2000s and the 2010s. Now I'm not crazy for either one now, but during the 2000s, I remember spending so much time on like Cartoon Network, whether it be watching any of the blocks on their regular programming, or if I'm watching Toonami or Adult Swim, Magoozy, or whatever block they just decide to give us. The impact that it left me is that a lot of those shows pretty much helped shape my tastes and what I like. Not just for shows, but just in general, pop culture, in general, everything. It helped shape up what I like. And as a person, always knowing that like they're not afraid to take risks on some of the shows that they were, at least at the time, they weren't afraid to take risks. Whether if it's a good risk or a bad risk, that's up to everybody. But They were not afraid to try something completely different than what the competition was doing. Because when the competition is being stale and not really offering anything completely new for people, Cartoon Network was at least trying their best to do something. And I respect them for it, even if it doesn't always work out.
Yep.
So, like, for me, the impact that it's left me is just knowing exactly what I actually liked from them. And a lot of the lessons that I've learned over the years when watching some of these shows, all these deep moments, they actually go like the extra mile to have episodes with some very deep moments where something that Nickelodeon wasn't exactly doing a lot of, and Cartoon Network was doing it a lot more often. One example is the concept of death. Nickelodeon would never really address that in a lot of their shows. They usually try to dance around or dodge that whole thing altogether. Cartoon Network wasn't afraid of it. In fact, I'll give you one example. Remember the Powerpuff Girls episode where they created the fourth Powerpuff Bunny?
Yeah,
And
I never forget. That's the real fourth Powerpuff Girl.
yeah, they wanted to make a fourth Powerpuff Girl because it was always just those three: Blossom, Butters, and not Bubbles, Bubbles, and Buttercups. Why did I say Butters? No.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
I don't want to be a Powerpuff Girl. No, but
I don't want to be a bad guy anymore.
But anyway, so the three of them made their own Powerpuff Girl named Bunny, who ended up being the fourth one. She was purple, and she had the purple outfit. And the thing is that the way they mixed her with like all the ingredients and the chemical X, they ended up just messing up somehow. Like whether they either put too much of some ingredients or too little of some ingredients, and they didn't really mix it well. So it ended up giving them like the fourth Powerpuff, which at first they weren't really, and then they eventually rejected this Powerpuff Girl, but then eventually it turned out that they really needed her. She helped out anyway, even after everything, and then all of a sudden she died. That was they addressed the whole death, and the characters mourned the death of Bunny, and even the narrator did the same thing. That was it's one of those moments where like it doesn't exactly hit you at first, but then you realize, oh wow, they actually went that far. So it wasn't the first time that they did it, and it wouldn't be the last, but it was definitely one major example that I could easily think of. But yeah, Cartoon Network did so much, and I'm forever grateful for them. So now let's do the community questions. We got a few that we never got a chance to answer last time, but we're going to do so now. Starting with Ice Pick. Do you wish that Turner Broadcasting had kept Two Stupid Dogs and SWAT Cats going as Cartoon Network originals when they move over from TBS, or is it just me? I honestly think they should have been. They should have just kept those shows going.
No guarantee.
And
yeah, no doubt.
Not only just those two shows, but there was another one, and that was Pirates of Dark Water. They never finished that show.
Yeah, right.
That's another one. Like, those three shows should have been, like, Cartoon Network originals. They should have just kept going. And that while, like, they were still giving it, like, yes, we would still get Dexter. Yes, we would still get Johnny Bravo and Cow and Chicken and all that. But we would also have some other shows, too. So, yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
I think they should have like graduated to like proper cartoons. Like, I don't think there's any reason for them to be like be left as like outsiders in a way.
The majority of the people, who worked on Two Stupid Dogs were going on to work on a lot of the shows that people know for Cartoon Network. Like Craig McCracken was on the show. Genny Tartakovsky was on that show. I think I was gonna say Seth MacFarlane, but no, he wasn't on that show. He came in later because when he was doing the cartoons when he did Larry and Steve, but
right.
And SWAT Cats, they never had a third season. Like supposedly there was a revival to bring it back, but the revival got canceled.
Yeah,
no, SWAT Cats was a really fun show. I didn't follow it like a lot, but like the episodes I did see were really entertaining. Like I feel like SWAT Cats could have been really good, and Two Stupid Dogs, I don't know. I don't know. I could be wrong thinking this, but I think Two Stupid Dogs would have been okay to have like as like a short that they could just continue like to play like in between like other shows and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, like bumpers and stuff.
yeah. No, like it honestly was like really great for that. Like when it was still going.
Yep.
Mhm.
You have anything you want to say about that, Kyle?
You know, I never knew that Two Stupid Dogs was a TBS show. Like,
Yeah, it was.
that's my first time actually hearing about that.
Yeah,
Like-
it started
like
off as that.
like
Mhm.
that, SWAT Cats and Captain Planet. Those are TBS shows.
Yeah,
I
Captain
actually
Planet.
didn't know about that either. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever watched SWAT Cats. Like, Two Stupid Dogs, I do remember, but
Hmm.
that's actually interesting to like learn about that.
Like SWAT.
I know SWAT Cats was a thing on like on Boomerang like a lot.
Yeah. Like,
Mhm.
like,
Yep.
SWAT Cats was basically made because Hanna-Barbera wanted to capitalize on the popularity of Ninja Turtles, so they wanted something for themselves. Ironically enough, one of the two SWAT Cats was actually voiced by one of the Ninja Turtles himself, Barry Gordon, who voiced Donatello in the original '80s Ninja Turtles. One of them was voiced by them. But yeah, Pirates of Dark Water. It should have continued. The only other thing about that show I know of is that it had like a Super Nintendo game. Was a beat 'em up. It was actually pretty fun.
Mm.
Next question is, and here's something we will be talking about. This is from Azran. Did you ever engage with CN Real, and did it have any upsides in your opinion? No, it did not have any upsides. No.
I never watched it actually.
I mean, I got some things to talk about that.
The only show I really watched was Bobby Says, only because like Bobby J was like he plays Stanley on That's So Raven.
That's Raven. Yeah.
That's like pretty much like the only reason like why I watch it. And
Mhm.
and there are days like I would just go on my TV and go on Apple TV and just like rewatch those 6 episodes of just him showing clips of like people just doing doing things like you shouldn't be doing, like.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And then like dude, what happened was like I kind of watched a couple, but I wasn't really like engaged with it that well.
Nope.
Yeah, like all of these shows were just honestly they didn't need to be on Cartoon Network at all because they really just don't feel like they are a part of it. But
Yeah.
but when I first heard about CN Rio being a thing, I was just conflicted, but also just open about it in a way because I don't mind watching live action shows because I have watched some live action shows like with Disney Channel because it reminds me of watching Disney Channel and they wanted to become like Disney Channel in a way because they was popularizing as well as Nickelodeon with Drake and Josh and Nez Declassified and such. But for this with Cartoon Network, really these shows they really didn't needed to be there because really they could have been on on other channels and networks like
Yeah.
really these shows were just weird to see but I didn't say I hated it because really these are not bad shows honestly even if it were not being on Cartoon Network like really I mean my favorite out of all of these were pretty much Destroy Build Destroy because it actually had a good amount of like ideas and thoughts about how with just the idea of destroying and building it up again and destroying it again for fun and having the host just
NGWK. Yeah.
Andrew WK, yeah, he was honestly phenomenal as a host. He was just the guy that just wants to make everything fun and just being all crazy like a rock star. You know, he was pretty much the best part of the show, and honestly, I never had a problem with that. For you know, for no reason, I don't really think it's bad. But and even weirder is that like after seeing Real being was going to fade out, there has been other TV shows that they came out afterwards with. This show it was a movie at first, and then they
Out of
pretty
his head. God damn it, Rian.
well, not only that.
What is
Like I
that?
mean, that one because before and then it was called Reanimated, and
Reanimated.
they built that up to make it into Out of Jimmy's Head. And what's funny because I do actually have the DVD of Reanimated on my collection for whatever reason because I thought I thought it was cool back in the day, but nonetheless, but that wasn't the only thing. They did another take of making a movie first and into an animated, not animated, into a live action show, which was called Level Up, a show that was about these kids who are going against these video game characters or anomalies or enemies coming into the real world. So they had to get themselves some video game weapons and to fight off the enemies in real life before bad things would happen. So that was what they were going for, to do like with Reanimated or Out of Jimmy's Head, but didn't go anywhere much. But I mean, they got some amount of episodes at the time being in 2012, but didn't last long. So nobody remembers pretty much afterwards when that ended. But really, the shows, they really wanted to be like with Disney Channel and Nickelodeon, but it didn't do much because really, you are Cartoon Network. The name is in there. You are Cartoon Network.
Yes.
Animation.
And they try to get away with it by just putting the word CN being like just CN for just get away with the word Cartoon Network.
And real shows.
So CN real shows, CN real, and really, it is so funny to me just to think that they were going to get away with it just because they put that shtick up in their programs. But really, nobody's being fooled.
Because 2009 was basically the turning point for a lot of channels rebranding or changing the directions. Like MTV decided not to do music videos anymore and focus more on reality shows. Core TV changed their name to True TV.
True TV, yeah.
And like I think that TLC was focusing more on reality-based shows rather than like showing documentary.
Right. Basically, because of the writer's strike in 2007 and like reality shows being like so cheap to produce, like. Again, there was a big reality boom towards the end of the 2000s, more or less.
No.
So like, I remember a lot of shows like this popping up in places where you never really thought that they should have been at. Like for me, the CN Real era was just like an experiment because it only like lasted like a year, according to like the timeline here. I think it was like June 2009 to like May 2010.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
but
I avoided it. Yeah, I know there are other shows at least.
Yeah, because like I remember there were some other shows that nobody thinks about, like with Unnatural History or with Tower Prep and other shows like these, because they weren't so big. I mean, they were big for like just being a live action drama show, but other than that, for Cartoon Network's sake, nobody cares at all. Just really.
Yeah.
I wonder if the shows would have done better if they were like on different networks.
Exactly. Maybe, but exactly, it would, if it were on other networks, people wouldn't be talking shit about it because really, nobody would say like, "Oh man, this is bad." No. But if it were on other shows or networks, it's fine.
In this way, like, again, it made more sense for Cartoon to kind of stay in its lane because it's the Cartoon Network.
Exactly.
Like, granted, if there was anything like live action related, it'd be commercials. It'd be like maybe in the bumpers or like those human hosted Fridays, but like nothing, or maybe like a gag in a cartoon. But like it's must be focused mainly on cartoons. Like if I wanted like live action stuff, I go to this channel or I go to Nick. They pride themselves on doing both. Cartoon Network is Cartoon Network.
You would think it would have been work if they did live action and animation like without Jimmy's Head. You would have think because it has cartoons in them, indeed.
Might as well make its own.
It didn't work out in the long run.
Look! I'm not going to CNN to watch a goddamn cartoon. Like I go there for different news. Like that's my reasoning here. You wouldn't go to CNN to watch cartoon. You wouldn't go to TNT to watch comedy. You wouldn't go to TBS to watch drama.
This is CNN, Cartoon Network News.
Well, I know I wouldn't go in there to watch. I know I wouldn't watch Cartoon Network for the annoying orange, at least.
Although,
oh god, I don't remember that.
Yeah, it's basically like how like if CNN had sports, or if if Cartoon Network just up out of nowhere says, you know what, we're gonna start showing AEW on Cartoon Network.
Yeah, we're gonna show like this most like non-cartoon thing ever.
We're gonna watch the documentary on Cartoon.
Oh,
They could still wrestling on Cartoon Network. That show the what was the name of that show? Like the claymation.
Or no.
I was gonna say we had Mucha Lucha, so that's wrestling.
There was like it was like Celebrity Beatdown, something like
That's
It's on MTV.
That's all about MTV.
Hey, just bring that over to Cartoon Network.
Although you know what I would say that for AEW they need to do a Cartoon Network World Championship.
Yeah, that'd be funny.
We have a TBS and TNT championship, so let's have a World Championship with Cartoon Network on it for AEW.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, so.
Actually, I'm sorry. I was just one other thing, just real quick. So, I would say, like, again, just like for Disney Channel and Nickelodeon, like, if you want to like watch like live action shows, like seriously, like those networks had like really great live actions, like That's So Raven, even Stevens, like over on Disney Channel and Nickelodeon. Like, I would pretty much just always watch like I would watch Drake and Josh from time to time, and then just like Dance Declassified was like always just like a keeper. But I think what Cartoon Network could have benefited from was like instead of doing like CN Real, like just doing like live action shows, they could have done like animated shows that are a little bit more like realistic in scope, like put like the Looney Tunes show into like that block. Yeah, and there was like another show that actually I don't think we've even discussed yet at this like during this session or the last session, but I actually really enjoyed it. I didn't watch it like, I didn't follow it a lot, but I have watched a few episodes and thought it was really fun. 16. I thought that was actually like a really good show. Animation quality was nice. I think if I remember right, I think that one was actually made. I think it was made by like animators in Canada, if I remember right.
Yeah, it was Canadian.
Yeah.
And it's funny that like Silver, you mentioned the writer's strike in 2008 because like this show started up on Cartoon Network like right around that time.
Yep.
Right.
And if you wanted cartoons that were emulating reality shows, there is a perfect example for this, and that's the Total Drama series.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That would be the only ever reality show in the entire world I would ever watch, other than actual live action reality shows.
Okay, so there's our CN reel right there.
Yeah,
exactly.
You want the real CN reel? Watch Total Drama. Like the only two shows that lasted when the block got canceled, they lasted for another year, and that was Dude, What Would Happen and Destroy Build Destroy. They lasted until 2011.
Yep, but they pretty much, because both of those shows were actually fan favorites for CN Real, if you would say they're fan favorites, but they were pretty much up there for people who actually enjoy something out of CN Real. So yeah, there you go.
CN Real ended up becoming a sunken cost fallacy in the end. But yeah, as far as other questions go, I do have some other ones. I have two different ones from Dragon. I'm trying to figure out which one I want to go with. I'm leaning towards the first one. Was anyone else not a big fan of the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, or is that just me? I think the character Billy just annoyed me too much. I like Billy and Mandy.
Okay. I can understand that.
But I can understand, yeah, like the character for Billy. Yeah, I totally understand that part.
The thing is that's what with Billy. Billy was meant to be like a complete idiot, and like Mandy was supposed to be like Billy the funny man, Mandy's straight man, and like Grimm's kind of like in between because he's there to like help move the plot along, but also like Billy is like stupid by design, you know.
Yeah,
he's the embodiment of stupid in human form.
Like the best way to explain his character is. The best way to explain his character, because like they showed it in like in a thing where like Billy she's trying to sneak into a house. He rolls out the window. He jumps through the window to get into the house instead of the open like area. That's literally Billy in a nutshell.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's see.
I think it's kind of like I guess it's kind of like Patrick Star from like SpongeBob. Like they could be like really fun, but you kind of have to have like like kind of like a don't cross a certain line where they get like so stupid where it's just kind of like annoyingly so.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think that even with Billy, he pretty much because look, the Billy and Mandy, the whole show is just nonsensical and beyond the limits of you would think how they would work out because they do a lot of gross out stuff in that show. I mean, you've seen Billy doing some weird stuff with his nose. Like
No.
you can't just look away from that. And Patrick, he can be dumb at times, but even he has his limits sometimes in the show. But Billy can go beyond if he wants to. I mean, I still remember that one episode where he was riding his bike and he got flipped out and he was going skidding across the street and just fell down and his nose was gone and then he went in front of the lemonade stand and be like lemonade, please, and his whole face is gone and I'm like okay, that's how this works. Okay, this guy just goes beyond the reality of time and space of how the world works, but he's fine afterwards. So
He just wants his lemonade.
he wants it. He wants it so badly. He just got to go ahead and just scrape off all of his face off and just say, "Yeah, let me have one lemonade. Don't worry about my face. My face is like this. It's fine. You don't give me that lemonade." So yeah, Billy's stupid, but you gotta admit he has his somewhat charms, but it's just intentional because this whole show is nonsensical. Everyone's crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. I will say I do really love the whole back and forth between Billy and the spider. Why won't you love me, Father?
Yeah, Jeffrey. See, that one, like right there, what I thought was like fun because even with him and Jeffrey just being the father and son type kind of relationship, it just always warms my heart. Being like he still remembers him, but yet he still wants to be like, I don't want you in my life at all. Please get away from me. Okay, you're gross, ew. But he still remembers him about that. It's so funny.
And,
Yeah.
and the fact, just talking about Billy and Mandy, like my dad would let me watch that, but he wouldn't let me watch Ed and Eddie. Like it's like I mean, like Billy and Mandy is like just the stuff they got away with in that. Like I feel like my dad should have said no to that instead of like Ed and Eddie.
How does he not say no to that? It's the Grim Reaper.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, if anything, like I think that like just the way that if you think about Ed and Eddie versus Billy and Mandy, like Billy and Mandy is a lot more crude, and all the themes that they have.
Oh yeah, they're not afraid to go up about everything.
Oh yeah,
even Mandy. Look at Mandy. She ain't gonna pull any punches. She can go for a big old punch.
And it explains why her parents are scared of her.
Yeah,
and pretty much why everyone's scared of her.
Yeah, especially those intros after the beginning credits where she just talks in a void, telling you some life lessons and such. That's scary.
Right.
Yep. All right. So next up, is this one is from Shad, and it's a multiverses related question because multiverses recently just came back. So with multiverses occupying some of the gaming discourse at the moment, what shows represented would you like to see get a character in the game, and what character would you be your pick? Because if we're just strictly doing Cartoon Network specifically for this podcast, I have a big list, but that would take a lot of time for me to list them out. So if I have to narrow a few of them down, so far the characters that we have from Cartoon Network are Steven and Garnett, Finn and Jake has an alt where it's Cake, and eventually we're going to be getting Dexter's Lab characters as well as the Powerpuff Girls. They're going to be coming, but but if I had to pick a character from Cartoon Network that should be in that game, like any character, like there's a few. There's Samurai Jack. There's I would probably go with Courage. I would go with Ben 10. I would go with any of the Teen Titans. Like I do think that like the one Teen Titan that's gonna be coming in first out of all of them is gonna be Raven. She's gonna be coming in. And like The list goes on and on. There's like Cartoon Network has a lot of good characters.
Yep.
So Johnny Bravo, like he might be coming too, actually.
That'd be cool.
That is good too.
But if
Batman would be a great pick, yeah.
But if I had to pick one character from the 2000s specific, actually 2010s, I want Mordecai Rigby.
See that?
Yes, Pump.
Yeah. Oh.
They'd have a lot of like really good costume ideas too, like them with the Mohawks, like playing Fist Puncher.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
A meatball sandwich.
Who would you guys pick? Like,
but like
The death sandwich.
But yeah, I've already talked about the like at length. It's like why I want them to in multiverses. So like that's like one thing I've always talked about. I don't know. Again, if Max didn't get shit canned, then I want to see like like Coop and the robot in there.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, that would have been great.
I mean, we had the Iron Giant in there, so
Yeah,
Yeah. Like there's so many ideas like I would like to see, but it's gonna be hard for me to pick with the Eds if they ever bring those guys in. But I don't know. I would like to see all three of them work together
It's
because
just Ed with a rock in his shoe.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it would have been funny with that idea, but I don't know because when I think about the Eds in video games, I always keep going back to that one video game that I always cherish, which was the Miss Ed Adventures, where it was like a 3D game where they're going into different quote unquote episodes in the game where they're just doing their pranks and stuff, and there are these moves that they do with just doing they were doing like the getting on top of each other, or they just like they do all sorts of stuff. Like I keep thinking of the moves like these from that game, and I wonder if they could work as in a fighting game if they or all three of them as together as one player just to work like that. But I don't know if they can even manage to do that with how limited for a game like this and a fighting game, because you already had Tom and Jerry working together like the Ice Climbers. So I don't know if three characters as one character can be even possible for a game like this. But I don't know. I wouldn't mind having just one of the Eds, mostly Ed himself. He probably would work as himself since he is a big brawler dude who can just literally take up a whole house and smash into someone's head. Freaking wild for a guy like that, for a guy like that to just battle his way out for anything, especially for his chickens.
right.
Mm-hmm.
So I would go for that.
yep.
Shell already gave like a couple of the ideas that like I mentioned while Shell was starting up. So like Samurai Jack, I feel would be an excellent fit for like a character. He has like such a great move set, and for a game with multiverses where you have to get back up onto the stage, he jumps good.
Yep.
And then just like Teen Titans, like if you only gotta have like one rep in there, I feel like it's gotta be Raven. Like some people may think that Robin, like since he's kind of the quote unquote leader of the group, but you already kind of have Batman in there, so I think it'd just be like two characters that both are just gonna have too similar of a moveset. So like either Raven or Starfire. I think those were probably the other two like more popular ones like in the group, and they would both have like a really nice move set, like varied from like the other characters in the game. And there was one other character that crossed my mind. God, it escapes me now, but I'll maybe I'll jump in later if it comes back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't play multiverse, but if I had to choose, like, I'd probably like pick the Kids Next Door, and like probably like have them like play like rather than be like the Ice Climber situation or like Pyra and Mithra, have them be like Bowser Jr., where like each skin was like each different operative.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I would see that.
All right. So the last question is from Dari. What show do you wish they had rebooted instead of the ones they actually rebooted? My answer is Dexter's Laboratory, but but only if Gendy Tartakovsky was brought back and had a lot more say into what goes on with the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to see that again. I mean, it's been too long since we see Dexter's Lab to come back like that. I would like to see that.
Like I feel like the original show should have ended with the movie Ego Trip.
Yeah.
I guess. I mean that was a really good TV special. Not
Yeah.
gonna lie, but I don't know. Maybe could be.
No, Ego Trip's the way to end it. God, what would I bring back? That's like a good question because like.
I think I got an idea. So actually, what one show that I think could have benefited from a reboot, and who knows, they could have probably like expand the world of this show. Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends.
No.
Like I think they could have like done like some more crazy stuff, like introducing like more imaginary friends. They could have maybe had like another like new main character just kind of like being introduced to Foster's Home. Or like if they wanted to bring back like Mac and Blue, they could have just made Blue not to be an asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the way how he was supposed to be before they give me the whole show.
Yeah, I agree. Because like Craig, like he had this like plan for Blue to have like character developments, like, and then like Cartoon Network was just like, no, he's just gonna be an asshole. It's like,
My shin.
That's one reboot I would like to see because like I want to see what Craig's plan was with Blue. Like, what exactly did he want to do with Blue? Like, how much character development did he want to give him? Like, I want to see what his original plan was.
At least it wouldn't be the worst thing they ever thought of, other than that one episode with Bendy.
Yeah, like Blue was like so much more likable and relatable just like in the opening pilot, that big opening special. Like that was so good. And then when the show dropped, I mean, I still enjoyed watching the show from time to time. I just enjoyed watching like the antics of like all the other characters, and I didn't really care much for Blue.
Yeah.
I mean, like it sucks for me because I really enjoyed the pilot so much that I liked Blue a lot. But then seeing how Blue became just an asshole type of character, which I still like him no matter what. But then I always see all the bad stuff he does, and just makes me think that man, he would deserve something like this for getting himself in trouble. But it would have been beneficial just to have him actually be a likable character with actual development so much for what they were going for. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But I would say I have a trouble thinking about what would I even want for a reboot myself, because honestly I don't know if I even wanted a reboot, because I just don't know if they even would work in today's day and age for the new era with cartoons, because I mean everything was so different back then that I honestly prefer to be like back then. Maybe not for everything, but it's just something that I just don't know if they would even work for today's cartoon era. But maybe I would say maybe if I would give one show a shot, but we were having more chances with it, but we just never went anywhere because the creator wanted to do more with the show after it finished. And the Cartoon Network doesn't want to do anything with it anymore afterwards. And that show I'm talking about was Codename Kids Next Door.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because the creator wanted to do more with the Galactic Kids Next Door. He was wanting to pitch that idea to Cartoon Network, but then they say no. They didn't go anywhere with it. He already built an animatic video of what would happen if number one sided with these mysterious galactic kids next door that were going to take over the world, erasing all the adults and kids, I think, to make themselves home with the galactic, and just seeing just everyone just probably would get eradicated, so they had to go stop the galactic kids next door. And just it makes me want to see more of that. Like, man, I would love to see what kind of fights they would have gone in, what kind of more 2x4 technology they would have made more to go against them, or anything. Just I want to see more of this stuff, because the world of Kids Next Door was so fascinating to me, with all the adults, the teenagers, and all the kids and the operatives all over the world. Just it fascinates me to see how much more growth they would have done if they ever do a reboot. like I want to see more, but sadly, just Cartoon Network for whatever reason just doesn't want to go with it, and that sucks because really Cartoon Network was about just giving some chances to cartoons they would have thought they would have done more. I mean, Kids Next Door was pretty much one of the best for what it was back in the day, and I'm surprised to see that they turn it down like that just because they want to do what the new stuff they have right now.
To be
And
fair,
it's really
Mhm.
crazy.
I actually think that might have also been due to bad timing. I think that if
Probably,
if they
yeah.
would have pitched the show a few years earlier when they had like a different CEO and head who was more open to a lot of this stuff, especially like during the renaissance of like 2010,
Mhm.
2011, we would have got the show. We would have.
Yeah, like because I noticed that with different CEOs and different timing with cartoons getting greenlit and whatnot, and yeah, because I remember really, I forgot what time it was, but I know around after 2010s. Or it was doing around the late 2010s where people were starting to ask about who the heck was in charge of these decisions with making these cartoons greenlit, like with Teen Titans Go, making it the SpongeBob of Cartoon Network, where they took over all the schedules and such, because people were like, "Why
Epic
did
Man,
it run off? Why you get?" Huh?
you were cutting out a bit.
You for a second, but like, you're back. You're back.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, it's probably the internet again.
Mhm.
But yeah, like people were wondering why the hell would Teen Titans Go be like the SpongeBob of Cartoon Network? So like, who do this and who does that? And they keep thinking about who was in charge at the time during that era and trying to figure out why would you do this? And it was like just, and I remember I was like looking at it from an observer of perspective. I just wanted to look at what's going on, why people are thinking about this, and I can understand where they're coming from, but it's like it's just really it is about the timing and the people who are in charge, and things change where cartoons and people's perspective about what kind of cartoons what people would like because back then people were used to with liking about action shows and whatnot, but now people are more into the wacky and nonsensical shows like with SpongeBob with the newer season and Teen Titans Go with just not being Teen Titans, just doing whatever they want it to be, just not Teen Titans, but yet they are, claiming they're like the old Teen Titans, but not really. Just so wacky, fun kind of Teen Titans shtick. But
Yeah.
it's like really feeling odded out because people in charge wanted to make money and trying to make this network survive by just doing this, and it's pretty weird. So I guess it's just business for cartoons as well, and we didn't like that back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I do have one more show that I want to bring up that I felt that could have had a reboot and what stipulation that I felt would have made it better. Okay. So, this one is actually more for DC. It wasn't exactly a Cartoon Network show, but it would have rebooted on Cartoon Network if given the opportunity. Though the show did air reruns on Cartoon Network, and that show is Static Shock.
Ah.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, I remember
Like,
that.
Yeah.
I would like a reboot of sorts where it tells
Great show.
like different writers telling a different story but staying true to the original show. Because the thing is that DC had a lot of shows on Cartoon Network. Because while Disney now owns Marvel, Warner Brothers has owned DC far longer than Marvel being owned by Disney. So
Mhm.
just to have all these DC shows. So if you were fans of like Justice League or Justice League Unlimited, those shows were great. But
Yeah, I remember the Justice League show.
but they managed to fit Static Shock right in with the DC animated universe around that time. It had 4 seasons, which was pretty good for the show that it was. Which I felt could have gone longer, but I would like a reboot of sorts that tells some new stories but staying true to the original show. That's what I probably would want. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's everything. That is actually the end of the episode, and that's all the topic questions. So that's the end of the podcast. again, I know this was the second part, but thank you guys for being a part of this again.
I'm
thanks for
very
having
glad
us.
to be
Of
a part of this
course.
show.
Oh, and actually, I'm sorry. I know we're ending, but it just hit me the other character who I was thinking about for like the was it Multiverses game. Actually, I think it's a show that we haven't really talked about that much, but I know it's the end. But was it The Amazing World of Gumball?
Yeah, Gumball.
Oh yeah, we didn't even mention it once.
Yeah.
Holy shit!
Like
Yeah.
I know like it probably would never happen, but imagine if we actually had Nicole Watterson be a playable character.
Oh, that would be
Boy,
fun.
would we want her as the
everyone's ass?
would we
God.
put her as the in her normal look or just the anime version? Because
Oh,
everyone
yeah,
loves
right.
the anime version.
Anime version that could be like her special.
Maybe, you know what? It could be her special, but I thought it would have been cooler if it was like her actual alternative costume look for her, you know. But I can
Yeah,
see
yeah,
that as a special.
Yeah, they do it. They do have like all costumes and everything.
They do, but
Yep.
I can see it as a special as well if they wanted to. But
Yep.
it would have been funny. Like I would love that. She would have been cool.
That would have
Yeah,
been funny.
that would be great.
Yep.
Okay.
But yeah, now we can definitely sign off. Again, thank you guys for being a part of this.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
before we sign off, Epic, where can we find you?
You can find me on my Twitch, twitch.tv/TheEpicMan World. That's where I do my streams. I will come back soon. I am coming back. I just need to find a good time for it. But I do go on my Twitter or X, but I still call it Twitter, but whatever. Fuck
No.
it. I go there for just retweeting and just hanging around there. It's it's my @username TheEpicMan World over there on Twitter, so you can find me there or on Twitch. So yep, there's that. So that's where you can find me.
All right, Kyle.
Hey, you can find me like on Twitch soon. I'm also on YouTube. Twitter, Instagram, and recently Blue Sky, and also on Threads. I need to like be more active on there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Blue Sky for me as well. I forgot to mention that too.
Yes.
Yeah, I am on Blue Sky as well.
Mhm.
Mr. Blue Sky.
Silver. Silver.
Great, my turn. Yeah, you can find me anywhere and everywhere as long as you know the name Sylverstone Khandr or Sylverstone 14. But like still is like counts that. I'm on Twitch.tv/Sylverstone Khandr, or just type in silver.stream. It takes you to the same place.
Mhm.
I'm on Twitter, Sylverstone 14. I'm on Blue Sky. I believe that is Sylverstone Khandr or Silverstone. I don't think it's just Silverstone on Blue Sky. I'm basically everywhere. As long as you know where to find me, you can find me anywhere.
Yep.
Anywhere is possible. Any place is possible. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
And Maple.
You guys can catch me streaming over on twitch.tv/MoonlitMaple. You guys can see any updates regarding my stream schedule and whatnot over on my Twitter, as well as my Discord server, pretty much all under MoonlitMaple, and I'll occasionally do like some uploads on YouTube every once in a blue. Streams will be a little bit light for maybe like the next week or two because I'm working on a big YouTube video project. But streams will be back to regularly scheduled programming very soon.
Yep.
Yay. Let's do
And
it.
obviously, you can find me at ShellshockPrime pretty much everywhere that you could think of on the stratosphere, whether if it's Twitter, Instagram, like YouTube and all that stuff. I'm pretty much everywhere, where I have daily streams every Monday through Thursday with the occasional Sunday streams and the very rare Friday streams, from 7 or 8 o'clock to midnight Eastern. So we actually have an episode coming up this Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern, where it's going to be about Sega Genesis, and joining me are Rick from the D-Pad and Sohn. Both of them are going to be joining me this Friday.
Thanks.
Definitely. I definitely someone has to be there for that.
Yes, because like he has off on Friday, so I had to have him on for that. But yeah, that's gonna do it for the show. It was a lot of fun.
Yep.
Alrighty.
And now
All right.
that's gonna do it. So thank you everybody for tuning in. We'll see you again on Friday for Sega Genesis. So take care of yourselves. Be awesome. Stay awesome. Tell your loved ones you love them. Check them out as always. Find everlasting peace. And I'll see you guys next time. And y'all have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night,
Night.